Chapter 13. Reality Struck. Staring into the dark, blank eyes of a woman who had greeted her with smiles and zeal, Azita couldn't believe what was happening. Instantly, she leapt into action as the cold steel struck Tyler's neck. She fought to restrain his sweet wife, Sarah, before she could swing the sword once again. This had been the first time Azita was thankful for her father, Bosco, insisting she take martial arts as a child when she had asked to take dance classes. "Dancing will not save your life against an attacker, Azita," her father had stated each time she brought up the subject. At this moment, she agreed. Azita's instincts had taken control as she shoved Tyler out of her way to where he now flailed in pain on the floor. Now closing the distance between herself and Sarah, Azita clinched her fist tight and landed a right jab to Sarah's face, yet Sarah seemed to hardly notice. "What the hell?" Azita shouted in amazement as she watched Sarah raise the sword high enough for another swing. Azita gracefully slid underneath Sarah's left arm as her sword cut through the air where Azita had been standing. Running on autopilot as her training took over, everything seemed to slow way down as her right arm slid under Sarah's chin and around her neck, locking onto the bicep of her left arm. With her left hand placed on the back of Sarah's head, Azita began to squeeze, and within 4 seconds, Sarah had dropped the sword. By 6 seconds, her unconscious body fell to the floor. Azita snatched the sword, throwing it to one side of the room before checking on Tyler. "Tyler, move your hand." "How bad is it?" she asked, prying his hand from where Sarah had struck him with the sword. Azita prepared herself to stop the bleeding as his hand moved and blood flowed down his neck, but to her amazement, it did not continue. Pulling Tyler's collar up, she wiped blood away, revealing just a fine line where the blade had cut, looking no deeper than a 5-inch shaving cut, with extreme skin burn. "You're fine! Now get up and explain what the hell that was all about," Azita demanded, puzzled by Tyler still being alive after being struck with a sword to his neck. Walking over to where she had thrown the sword, Azita saw how Tyler had survived with such little injury. The sword had no edge for cutting, it was flat for decoration. "They're not real. Thank God," Tyler remarked, seeing Azita studying the wall where the remaining swords hung. Seeing his wife curled up motionless on the floor, Tyler hurried to check on her. "What did you do to her?" Propping the sword up against the wall, Azita could feel her heart rate noticeably lowering with everything under control. "She will be fine. Now, what was that all about?" "She was trying to kill you." "Not quite the way I saw this trip going." Rising to his feet while holding his neck, Tyler spoke with a confused expression on his face while looking around the room. I don't know. She won't even kill spiders in the house, even makes me carry them outside." His eyes turned back to his unconscious wife. Frustration began to take control of Azita, but years of experience had taught her that frustration does nothing to help. Calming herself down, she knew that in order to find answers, she had to get Tyler focused on something else, and then it came to her. "Pull up your camera. Maybe there's something there." Hesitantly, Tyler brought up his home surveillance camera after a few strokes of the keyboard. The two watched the video play in reverse and stopped at the point where Azita was walking backwards down the walkway. "Nothing. What is going on? She wouldn't do this," Tyler stated, not sure if he was trying to convince Azita or himself. Shots fired, 273 County Road 117, all available units." Azita and Tyler glanced at each other upon hearing the call on the police band radio. "Don't tell me you were there yesterday as well." They both already knew the answer before Azita responded. Now very confused by today's events, Azita replied, "Is someone after you? That is the only possibility, since the only other thing each of these places have in common other than myself is you." Instead of an answer, she watched Tyler grab the top of his head with both hands and begin running his fingers back and forth through his hair. She could tell fear was taking him over and leading him to a state of shock. Azita stepped forward and grabbed a hold of his left wrist, pulling his hand down to expose his face to her powerful opened right hand. An echo filled the room as energy from her swing released into his cheek. Now before her stood a 5'11", thin, bug-eyed man who just had the wisp slapped from his speech. "What the hell?" Tyler yelled as he gingerly touched the glowing, throbbing handprint on his face. Without an ounce of remorse, Azita repeated in powerful voice, "Is there a reason somebody could want you dead?" Forgetting all about the nick on his neck, Tyler now worked his jaw while rubbing his cheek. "Yes, the research we do looking into UFOs and other mysterious things. That's why I didn't want to meet and changed phones numbers and emails so often. Though, to be honest, I wasn't that sure I ranked that important till now." The thought that he might be that important brought a smile to his face, only for it to disappear as reality hit him. "Someone wants me dead." "I believe that is evident. Now who?" Azita asked. "The 25 are not the only ones that have died mysteriously. Others like me who investigate and try to get information out have also been targeted. They were probably just waiting to get us both at the same time." Tyler almost shouted as he started to put the pieces together. Azita didn't quite believe her coming to Tyler, Texas, could be the cause of all this. "That can't be the only reason. What else were you working on before I arrived?" Tyler thought hard, but out of everything, only one thing came to mind. Professor Alice LeBlanc. "Who is that?" "She's on the forefront of human-alien DNA. Well, she was before being dismissed from her research and left with only a career path in teaching. She worked as a professor at Stanford till a few days ago when she started ranting about the world needed to be warned. Here, watch." Tyler pulled up one of many videos that had been downloaded online from students that had watched and laughed. When the video stopped, Azita couldn't believe what she had watched. Her disbelief didn't come from the woman ranting, but the way those around her cared more about getting it on video than helping someone who clearly needed help. What happened to her? From the reports, she attempted to take her own life by downing a bottle of sleeping pills, but instead had a psychotic break. The next day, she took a swan dive from a hospital roof where she was admitted. The strange thing is that all videos have been removed from the net. You know what it would take to do something like that? Still befuddled by the last half hour of events, Azita stared at Sarah on the floor. She should be up by now. She bent over to check the other woman's pulse. Tyler hovered over his lovely wife, concern etched into his faint frown lines, and a tremble to his voice as he asked, "She okay?" "Yes, heart rate is good. Just keep a close eye on her and let's find out what happened. You have any cameras inside the house?" "Yes, one on the front door, but you're the only one to use the door today," Tyler said, pulling up the entranceway camera and starting the video from when Sarah had hugged Azita. Both watched as Azita went to the basement and Sarah headed to the kitchen to make coffee. "You were last to speak with her before she tried cutting my head off," Tyler said with a hint of disdain for Azita as he looked from her to Sarah on the floor. Azita gave him a slight glare for his tone, but before she could comment on it, something caught her eye. "Wait, where is she going?" she asked, as Sarah appeared once again on camera, walking over to open the front door. "Who are they?" Tyler asked with a small gasp. "Where did they come from?" In the doorway appeared two strange-looking men wearing black suits and fedora hats. "Quick, pull up the outside video," Azita requested, stunned that they had not seen them when viewing it the last time. Even now, with the two videos displayed on separate monitors side by side, paused at the same point in time, neither man was anywhere to be seen. "This is impossible. There's only 2 feet in front of the door that can't be seen by that camera, and they can't make it there without being seen walking up." Tyler quickly went to check on Sarah when he thought he saw something in his peripheral vision. Worried that she might be hurt or might still want to kill him, he asked, "Sarah, are you okay?" Azita turned to confront Sarah in case she still proved to be violent, but as she got to her feet, Tyler jumped in front of her. "She will listen to me," he assured her. Slowly, Sarah stood up straight with eyes showing no color other than black and white. "Sarah, you okay?" Tyler asked in a gentle and loving tone. Sarah stared at Azita with cold black eyes, then ran for the sword where Azita had propped it up against the wall. Pushing Tyler out of her way, preparing herself to disarm Sarah for a second time, Azita froze at what she saw take place. With no emotion, Sarah held the blade midway up, placing the tip directly between her chin and neck, then dropped to her knees. With a whooshing sound followed by a few crunches, blood rushed out in all directions and down Sarah's face from where the tip of the sword had exited through the top of her skull.